Alright y'all, today we're going to learn about casting and parsing. So the first thing we'll learn about is implicit casting. This is when you're going from a smaller range type to a larger range type. So for example here we're going from an int to a double. A double is much larger, is literally double the size of an int, right? Ints can only contain whole numbers, so 100, 101, 102, whereas doubles can contain like decimal values, right? So 100.1, 100.2, 100.3, and so on. So double has a much larger range than an int. So we're implicitly casting, meaning we're going from a smaller range to a bigger range. So this 100 right here will turn into a double. This int will turn into a double. And so we can print that out right here, and that'll just give us 100, right? And then you, like, this is the first one, and then you might be asking, like, you said it turns it into a double, so why doesn't it print, why doesn't it print like 100.0? That's a fair question, right? The answer to that is because the computer automatically converts any point zeros to be gone, just so that it looks nice, really. So I'll give you another example. So here, console.writeLine, I'm writing 100.000, and the computer will automatically get rid of all those zeros. It's going to be like, we don't need those zeros, right? It's a waste of space. We don't really need to show 0.0. It's the same thing as 100. So that's implicit casting. Next thing we're going to go to is explicit casting right here. So this is when you're doing the opposite of implicit casting. So this time you're going from a big range to a smaller range. So for this example, we're going from a double and we're going to an int. So this is 100.5, and this is how you cast explicitly. You need to have parentheses and the type you want to cast to. So since I'm casting to an int small, I will have parentheses int in front of the big. Right? So what this will do is it'll convert it right here into an int first. So it'll take this 100.5 and then chop off the 5 because it's trying to turn it into a whole number or an int, right? So it's going to chop off the 0.5 and then it's just going to be small. So as you can see, 100. So why do you need an explicit cast? Well, there's an error right here. Cannot implicitly convert double to int, and an explicit conversion exists, so that is very helpful for telling you what to do. But still the question remains, why can't you do the exact same thing as a regular implicit cast? Why does this result in an error? So yes, the computer can definitely handle it, right? The computer can handle a lot of things, for sure. It can. But the issue with this is that there is a loss of conversion. So when 100.5 goes and turns into 100, right? It just lost that 0.5, right? So you just lost data. So the computer just wants you to sort of let them know that you know that you're doing this cast, because you will lose some data, sort of, right? So you have to do it like this. That's explicit casting. Okay, so casting's all for numbers and stuff, right? So now we're going to go into parsing. Parsing is for strings. So I already made a scenario right here where you need to enter in money, and a string takes in your input using the read line, console.readline. And here's the key part: it parses it into an int, right? So how does that work? Well, you just put a string inside the parentheses. You do int.parse and then you put the string here. Does this work with other types? Yes, it does. In fact, I think it works with every single one. Double, right? Double.parse. There's int.parse, short.parse. So almost all, I think all of the numbers have a dot parse to them that take in a string. So let's change this back. So now that I change it to an int, we can compare it, right? So here I'm comparing it to another number, right? So if you have more than $10, then you can afford a cheeseburger, else you can't. Let's say I have $9 and I can't afford a cheeseburger. So that's pretty simple, pretty easy. And as for casting a int to a string, I am not sure why you'd want to do that, honestly. But let's say you wanted to, um, say you wanted to do that, I guess. I think there's really no point in doing that. But you could do string equals plus 5. This basically just concatenated it, and so 5 turns into a string. All right. Oh shit. You put a number here. See? So yeah, this just prints out a 5, basically turned it into a string. So, I mean, there's no real use to turning it into a string. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Like there's literally no purpose for it. Because when you change from string to an int, right, you actually can do something with the int. If you change it to a string, I mean, what are you going to do with a string int or a string double, right? No real use to that. But yeah, that is casting and parsing.